And welcome to Education, Leadership, and Beyond, Surviving and Thriving. My name is Andrew Murata, host of the show, and we are on location. We are in the office of the president, Dr. Dan Meyer. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Andrew. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm looking forward to our conversation today. I'm sure we're gonna have a very good time. So.
Absolutely. Here in Dallas, Pennsylvania, right outside Wilkes-Barre, we are on the campus. Beautiful office here. I appreciate the time. Before we get to the podcast, real quick, I did want to announce the Dads, Leaders, and Father Figures Summit. It is in Binghamton, not too far from us. This is it here, Dr. Dan. We're going to get dads together. We're going to get men together. It's a leadership retreat. So I wanted to announce that here on the podcast. There's more information on my website as well as the Dad's website. So that's coming to us here this summer. But let's get into you. Let's get into Misericordia. Thanks for coming on the podcast.
My pleasure. Looking forward to it.
Ending your third year here. We're just a couple weeks from graduation.
Yeah.
How was this school year?
Well, we had a great year. It's been wonderful for me to be here. I mean, this is finishing my third year, and it's been a huge amount of progress here. A very exciting moment in the history of this school. We're going to have our 100th anniversary next year. And so that's very exciting. And, we've had some real growth in enrollment and things. We'll probably have the biggest class we've ever had in the history of this school in the fall. We don't know yet because it's not over, but it looks like we're going to get there. And what a great moment to start our second century in the strongest spot that we've been in. Lots of new programs, lots of great energy on our campus, new sports. It's really a great moment for us. And so, as a president, you just can't help enjoying every single moment of that. So,
yeah, that's exciting. That's coming this September.
Mm-hmm.
And you have graduation here a couple weeks away.
Yep.
How about you? How do you get ready for graduation, all the ceremonies? Do you just show up that morning? Is it all done? Or are you saying, hey, I want the flowers there. I want the carpet here. How much are you involved with that?
I won't get too much into the flowers, but the ceremonies are pretty meticulously planned out, and then, we got to help everybody else know what they're supposed to do when and so on. But it works really well here. We've got a good routine. It's just a great day. There's a lot of, I think, stress coming up to any big moment like that, but then it starts. And then you remember why you're here, and all the faculty come and, everybody's dressed in their garb and the students are so excited to actually be graduating. Their family members are here. It's just this incredible moment of celebration. And, every time I just come away with this feeling like, wow, we really did something meaningful here.
Yeah.
This is what this is about. This is what we're trying to do. And so, it's a lot. It's in a sense, it's the best day of the year, when we do that. So.
And you, as the leader, President Dan, Saturday or Sunday morning, the day after, I know as high school principal, I was exhausted. I just was so tired. What's the next day like? Are you out having a cup of coffee and relaxing, or are you getting right back to it? You're able to take some time off?
Well, there's not a lot of time off in this job, but there's a different pace in the summer, and there's a different focus. You kind of get more into strategy and how to plan. What are we going to do next year, and starting to get ready for that. So there's a little bit of a moment of pause, but not much. You got to turn around and get going again. And kind of the capper for the year for the president really is the last board meeting, and that's a couple more weeks after graduation. So we're still kind of working away until we get to that board meeting, and then we can think about a vacation or something after that.
So, yeah. And then in September is the centennial, the 100 years.
That's right.
What do you have planned? Tell us some of the things that you're excited about for this event.
We got all kinds of things all year long. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have some displays about the history of the university. We have a lot of different alumni events. We have, of course, our big reunion in the fall, and we have a gala and things. That'll be a lot of fun. But there's things all the way through, and I think one of the neatest things will be opening up the time capsule that was put into this building when it was built. And in fact, the records weren't very good. So it took us a while to find it. The engineers were like trying to figure out where the heck this thing, but they did finally find it. And so we're very excited to open that up, see what's in there. And then we'll be creating a new time capsule for the next 100 years that we'll put back in the building. So that'll be a really cool moment.
Yeah. Wow. Do you know what you're going to put in it?
No, I haven't. Maybe I don't know. You know, this is how I live. So.
Drink of the century there.
Maybe we'll put a can of Monster in there. It'll probably survive.
Leave it open.
Yeah.
Maybe the celebration button there. We can add that. That's exciting.
Yeah, it'll be a lot of fun. You know, the sisters that founded this university, well, College Misericordia back when it was founded, I mean, they've just been such an amazing part of the history of this place, and their ideas about education and their commitments to serving other people. They're absolutely central to what we do here. They're part of what we do every single day. If you ask any student on our campus, what are the charisms? What are the values that drive the Sisters of Mercy and the identity of this institution? They can tell you. I guarantee you go out there and ask somebody on the quad. So it's really part of what we do here. And it's going to be great to celebrate that too and reinforce that. As part of the celebration, you know, and we still have sisters here. We have several on the board, and we have a couple here who still work here, and they're just tremendous people who, you know, they just contribute so much to what we do around here, and I just love them. They're just wonderful people. It's been great to be in their lives and have them in mine too. So
it was nice. We got to chat a little off air, and you told the story of how you came to find Misericordia. You've been at some big places, American University, Marquette, 14 years at Notre Dame, but you found Misericordia and they really got your attention. Would you mind sharing that story?
No, sure. I'd be happy to. Well, I was working on a book about graduation and retention rates at colleges and universities across the country. And I was trying to understand why some of them do so well. Some of them 95, 96, 97% of their students graduate, and others, I mean, it's way on the other end. If they get to 25% that graduate, they're happy, you know. And so what's controlling it? What's making that happen? And how can we do better? That's really what the book was driving toward in the end. But one thing I found, and this probably wouldn't be a big surprise to most people in higher ed, but it's the characteristics of the students that have so much to do with whether they get through or not. So students who have wealth, you know, their families can pay for the tuition, and they have had access to really good education all the way through. Those kind of privilege markers really have a huge amount to do with whether students get through or not. You know, those that have bigger challenges, it's much tougher, obviously. And so schools that have a lot of those kind of privileged students, they have super high graduation rates. And some of them that have those high graduation rates, they're not really doing anything special. They're just kind of riding the wave of privilege that characterizes their student body, right? And so I wanted to find the places that did well with everybody, not just students of privilege. And so I devised a way in this research process of sort of adjusting for the privilege markers in the student body and then seeing how they did with their retention and their graduation rates. And I re-ranked everybody in the country, every college, and this school came up to be number 2, came up with the second best record in the country, and it was Misericordia University. And I knew about that much about Misericordia University at the time. And I thought, what is going on there? The one school that beat it was a state school too. So it had the best record of any private school in the whole country, meeting the Harvards and the Notre Dames and all these schools that you would recognize. Like, what in the world is happening at that place? I got to find out. And so I did interviews with my top 10 schools on my list. And I just asked to be able to talk to whoever their retention guru was for 45 minutes and just get some ideas about what they were doing that made it work so well at their schools that, I could write a chapter in the book and kind of tip others off to these great strategies, right? And I got on with the Misericordia group. You notice I use the word group, not one person that I asked for. 7 people on the call, their whole retention team. And we had this unbelievable conversation. And they were just so smart in their thinking about what they were doing. They were so animated by the whole project of doing it. They stayed on with me twice as long as I had asked for.
Wow.
And I mean, they were just so invested in the students. I was like, wow, these people are really something. I got off of the call and I turned to my spouse and I said, Kristen, these are the kind of people that I want to work with. I mean, this was incredible. And then the presidency came open. And so I went for it, and it was a match made in heaven. It's been really a great place to be, because that spirit, that drive to really serve students and get them to the finish line it's just absolutely cuts across this institution in every possible way. It's just wonderful to see and be a part of a community that does that.
Yeah. I love that story. And little did they know they were interviewing their president at the time.
Yeah, right. I know. It's just amazing the way it happened. And now, here I am. I said, these are the kind of people I want to work with. Well, now I'm getting to work with them, and it's just wonderful.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what were some of the things, President Dan, that they shared that kind of got your attention? What is some of the magic that happens here? Specific things they share?
Yeah. Well, one thing I learned, of course, from doing these interviews, there's no magic bullet. There's no one thing that you can do, or even two, that make the difference. It's a whole set of things that you got to do, and it comes down to in a way that you have to wrap yourself around the student and really know them from all these different angles, from the academic angle, from the student life, what's happening in athletics, what's happening, all these different parts of their experience, because any one of those things can be something they trip over. And it can mushroom into something very challenging that can drag them out of school. And so you got to know them in so many different ways so that you can see those when they start, and you can nip them in the bud before they become something that's a big deal. And that's the magic of a place like this, that does know the students in so many ways and notices what's happening with them. That's the big picture thing. But how you do that is 20 different things.
Sure.
Right.
Sure. And I saw on your website, the website is phenomenal, beautiful stats, pictures, beautiful. But I noticed the class sizes, it's manageable where you can talk 15, 16, 20 people. That's a nice number that you can make those connections.
Yeah, that's right. I'm going to teach a class in the fall. It's going to be gigantic class though, 30. Okay, that's a big class. That's a very big class for us. But that's part of it, right? Because then you really can get to know the students, and you notice when they come to class and something doesn't seem right. They're not acting the way they usually act, right? Because you know them, right? And that makes a big difference, or you know who's in the class is not getting their work done. You can tell from the conversation with them in class. Whereas you're teaching I used to teach a gigantic class, and I liked it, and it was a good class in many ways. But at Notre Dame, it was 470 students. And so I don't know what's going on with them. There was this little cluster in the front that, the gunners who want to sit in the front row, I knew them, but you can't know 470 students, right? And so that smaller kind of environment allows some of this stuff to happen, and that's one of the reasons why they do so well here.
Beautiful. Yeah, beautiful. It's great. We're on campus here. It's not often that you get to spend time with a college president. Grateful for President Dan here. Jump in the show. Say hello. Let us know where you're watching from. If you're an alumni here, a student here, say hello. And again, we're here in the office. What's a typical day like? Let's pick a Wednesday in February, right? You come in the office. Let's get started. I know you're not a coffee guy, but
you already found that out.
Walk
right?
me through a typical day here.
Well, actually, it starts earlier than that, because the way my day usually runs is I'll get up at 6 or something, and I'll actually work for an hour or so or two, in the morning, answer emails and just kind of do the things that get ready for the day. And then I go running. I have this crazy running streak. I've run a 5K every single day for over 12 years now. And
so hold on. Time out. I need a 30 seconds out. You've run a 5K for 12 years in a row.
Yes.
Every day.
Every single day.
Wow.
Yes. That's the minimum. I've done up to 15 or 18 miles depending on the circumstances, but a lot of them were 5Ks though. But and that's part of my daily routine. And as a president, it's a very demanding job time-wise, and you've got to find ways to keep yourself healthy and have a time to, think to yourself. And the running really provides that for me. And, I think a lot of presidents will tell you they have some, secret routine or something that they do to keep themselves healthy, because it's a run job. You really got to go.
Wow.
So yeah, 12, let's see, what are we trying to do? 12 years and 3 months now. So,
That's fantastic. I was saying you're in great shape. So no earbuds. You're just thinking.
well, I do different things. Sometimes I just think that's nice. Sometimes I will listen to a book on tape, or I'll listen to music because I have to get ready. I have a little rock band I'm in, and I have to learn a song or something. And or I will, sometimes I'll do something really boring, like listen to a report or something, or a recording of a webinar or something that I need for my job.
Sure.
So yeah, I do different things when I'm out there running.
Okay. So you're off and running in the morning, and then you're here. Is your secretary running your schedule? Are you telling her what to put in? Tell me about building your daily schedule. Are you what percentage of time are you out on this beautiful campus? All of those things.
Well, yeah, I wish I was out more. And sometimes you feel like you get trapped in the office here. But I would say, most of my time I'm sitting in some kind of meeting, and there's a lot of them to have at this level, and particularly in a smaller school, your responsibilities are broader than at a bigger school, where you might be, like 90% of your time might be spent with fundraising and donor types and things. But you can't do that here. You've got to do things that are internally facing too, and which is great for me. I like doing that stuff. But you don't get to get out and be with students and things as much as you like. That's one of the reasons I'm going to teach next fall, because it'll give me a chance to be with students a little bit more. But yeah, there's a lot of, it's a lot of strategizing and making sure that we're doing all of the regulations and requirements that we have to do to keep the financial aid money coming in from the federal government. And like this year, maybe most of you out there know that it's the financial aid system at the federal government has just been a mess this year. It's just been awful. And so, we've had to spend a lot of time dealing with that and making sure that we've got our students lined up properly so that they're going to get their financial aid. And it's not just from the federal government, that's one source. But after they fill out that form, then the state uses it for state money, and we use it to determine financial need for our own need-based aid as well. And so it's extremely important, and it's just been a huge challenge this year. And so that's one of the things that kind of comes up, that you just have to spend a huge amount of time working on. So and that's kind of how the day progresses. I try to get out on campus at least once every day, at least walk over to the student union here, the student center, and say hi to a few people. I like to go and be a part of different things that happen on campus. I try to get to sporting events. I try to go to. I mean, we have 31. Well, as of the fall, we will have 31 sports here.
Hockey's coming, right? I see.
Yeah. We got 4 new sports starting in the fall.
Wow.
We got hockey, which is great. Man, our new coach is fabulous, just doing such a great job recruiting. We have men's wrestling and women's wrestling started. Again, 2 great coaches, and they're doing a great job recruiting. It's just fabulous to see these programs develop. You may not know, but wrestling is the fastest growing collegiate sport right now.
Wow.
Women's wrestling.
Yeah.
Women's wrestling.
Oh yeah.
And so it's just it's a great thing to add. And then stunt, which is kind of a carve out of the competitive cheerleading, where they just do the stunts. They just do the stunning parts.
Interesting.
And so those will all be rolling in the fall. So we're very excited about that. But that'll bring us up to 31 varsity sports teams here on this campus.
Wow.
So it's a big part of our environment. It's a great part of our environment. The student life stuff here that's connected to that is awesome. And the coaches are just incredible, because they know that they're here to develop people and to be mentors and guides and teachers to these students too. They're not just here to win games. It's about developing these students, as they go through their time with us. So
yeah,
it's great. It's an awesome piece.
College athletics is a big part of the college life.
It is. It is. And we're a D3 here, and which means no athletic scholarships. And so students are really doing it for the love of the sport. And it's a great part. And it's great when you go out to a game and see the students supporting each other. I have this one TikTok. I do TikTok. President Dan on TikTok, folks. But I do TikTok, and I have this one TikTok where I went to the women's volleyball game, and the football team was out in force. I mean, these guys, and they were going crazy on every point, every point. And so I just took my camera on one of the points, and I just went across when they were, when they were cheering for the women's volleyball team. And I said, when you're thinking about where to go to college, ask yourself, does the football team come out for the women's volleyball team like that?
Wow.
And it's just, I mean, it's part of this community environment that I've been talking about here, where people are just really into what's going on and supporting each other. It's very cool,
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
So cool. Well, I want to give a shout out to your head of grounds here. The campus looks absolutely gorgeous. When you walk on, I mean, it's spring, it's nice, but really, it looks absolutely phenomenal. And
Yeah.
and Doc, forgive me, I don't want to say the wrong thing. What do you call the front structure in the front?
The arch?
Yeah, is it
Yeah,
the arch?
yeah, the arch. Yeah.
Tell me about the arch, the history of it, and I mean, that is stunning.
Well, I don't know how it got started, but it's it's this big arch. It's decorative, it's beautiful, and you actually drive through it when you come onto campus.
Mhm.
And so I think everybody's nervous about hitting the arch, but I made a TikTok about that too. I'm afraid I'm going to hit the arch, but it's a nice symbolic entry to campus. This is not a gated off campus in any way like some are. In big cities and things like that. It's not at all, but the art, it's a symbolic thing. And it says, hey, this is where you come in and you're starting a new experience, and it really, I think it really means, oh yeah, it's the students, it means something to them. And they all go down there at graduation time and take pictures by the arch. And it's a real symbol of our campus and the kind of welcoming hospitality notion that we have here. And you drive through and you go up the hill and bam, you see this gorgeous campus. It's a beautiful place. And you're right, the people who work on it do an amazing job. Not just the grounds, but the buildings and things are just in great shape here. I was so glad to come. Many colleges have challenges with deferred maintenance and their buildings kind of getting dilapidated over time, but they've done such a great job of keeping these up here. It's fabulous. And we have some nice new things that have been built in the last few years as well. And so it's a great campus. I think when students step foot on our campus, the chances of them coming here, a high school student visiting, the second they step on our campus, the chances of them actually coming skyrocket because they see what a great place it is.
Yeah. So, and today's a beautiful day. Hopefully you had some recruits on campus,
Yeah.
But it looks great. Doc, again, you're finishing your third year, going into your fourth. What's something you know now that you didn't know July 1st, 3 years ago?
Oh, that's a good question. Let me think. Well, I sometimes people do ask me what I was surprised by here.
Yeah.
And I think, they're looking for me to reveal some deep, dark secret or something, but that's not it. The surprise for me is something I've said already. It's apologies for repeating myself, but it's the spirit of community here. And I did my research before. When I was looking for a presidency, I wanted a place that was really trying to live its mission. I mean, and everybody has a nice sounding mission. If you go look at any college, the wonderful things they do and they're trying to do, and it sounds great, but are they actually doing it? And when I had a spreadsheet of presidencies that were open, and I'd go and I'd snoop around and I'd try to find out whether I could see anything happening that supported the mission. We're really on the ground happening. And if I saw a crack, it went in the no column because I wanted a place that was really trying to do it. And so I had a list at the end that I thought were really trying to do it. And those were the ones that I, entertained. And Misericordia was on that list. And when I went through the interview process, I said to people, well, you have a nice sound and mission. Tell me in your daily experience on the ground, something where you have felt that or lived that. And I said it to faculty, I said it to board members, I said it to students, and they all had a good, concrete, real story here. And so I thought, okay, they're really doing it, And so I thought that I was going to a place that had that, and it's been proven.
Wow.
And that's been the surprise, is how powerful it is and how ubiquitous it is across this institution. I said, you could ask any student. There's not many places where you could go up to a student on the quad and say, what is the mission of this university? Or even a faculty member. What's the mission? And the best they could probably come up with is to be a good university, right?
Mhm.
But that's not, there's so much more to it. And in most places, and certainly here, and people can tell you here, they can tell you what we're trying to do. So that's wonderful.
Again, it goes back to that opening meeting where they got your attention, and then you're
Yeah,
here. I love it.
yeah.
I did not know you were an expert in running, but I did know you were an expert in the study of collective behavior and social movements. A lot of study and research
Mhm.
on civil unrest, protests. Tell me about what drew you to that topic.
Well, it's interesting because I didn't actually start off wanting to study that specifically. But I had this experience when I was at Ohio State. I was part of this group that was called the Minority Issues Committee, they called it back then. And it was made up of the chairs of all of these other groups. That was the Hispanic Issues Committee and the LGBTQ Issues Committee and the Disability Issues Committee. And so all of these, the chairs of those other groups formed this Minority Issues Committee. And one thing I experienced, that it was so hard to get everybody to work on something together.
Mm.
It's like, why is it so hard for us to support one another? And so that was the issue that brought me into sociology, because I wanted to understand that dynamic and why we were so worried that if we use some of our resources to help somebody else, that it would diminish our ability to serve our own population, right? And so, but that lends you almost immediately to a social movements kind of space in sociology. And so I got interested in that. And so that's how I became a sociologist, and I got interested in protests and riots. And then things just happen. I ran into this incredible data set about the rioting that occurred in the United States in the 1960s. And I was able to, get some really good articles out of that, trying to understand what happened there better. And so, I kind of became the riot guy for a while. And so some of it's happenstance, but some of it's, things that you bump into because you're interested in this and you see something that's adjacent to it. And that's how it moves along sometimes. So
You've done a lot of writing too. With that, again, a published author. What's your writing process like? Are you going to a coffee shop and sitting out at Starbucks? Are you at the desk? Are you talking memos? What's your process like? Because this isn't fiction you're writing about. This isn't.
It's pretty tough as a president. I still get a few things done here and there on the academic front, but I don't have a lot of time to do that kind of writing anymore. But if you want to really be successful at it, there's a discipline at it. I call it chipping away. And I actually have a whole talk I used to do at Notre Dame for years for the new faculty about what I would call the chipping versus the binging style of working, and how you almost inevitably, and there's data that shows that that you're more successful with the chipping style, which is where you work on your project every day and you get a little bit done. You don't have to blow it out and do a huge amount, but if you do a little bit every day, every single day, and you don't miss, it starts to add up, and you end up getting a lot more done than the people who kind of, wait for summer to really concentrate, or whatever it is that they do in the binging style, and that's the way I adopted a style of doing that. Even though I naturally am a binger, I love to binge and just do nothing else for 3 weeks but work on this project. But you can't really do that in real life, because you got to teach your classes and go to committee meetings and take care of your family and take a shower, and so so I adopted this style, and it really worked for me. And it was one of the reasons I got so much done during my first years at Notre Dame, because I did this chipping style. And it's really, you got to discipline yourself. And I tried to write 2 solid pages a day, which isn't that much. It's like 500 words, right? And to spend, about half of my day, including the writing, on my research. So like 4 hours a day. And I kept track of it. I had a spreadsheet and everything. Wow. And it worked, and so, and it really does help discipline you to keep going and to stop before you're too tired. And there's lots of advantages that come from working like that. So yeah.
A lot of discipline in the running, the writing. You seem to be
Yeah.
very disciplined in that when you do it every day.
Yeah, and it's it's not natural to me. It's not easy. People sometimes say to me, they go, "Oh, you must really love running," and I'm like, "No, I don't like running. Actually, I've never liked it, but I like having finished my run for the day, right?
Yeah.
And you feel like you've done something good for yourself, and so having had run, I like running itself. Don't like it so much, but you got to do it, right? If you're gonna, and so that's the way it is with a lot of things in life. It's more fun to I don't know, watch Dune than it is to go tap out a couple of pages for your riot paper. But you better do the riot one.
Your topic here again, the behavior, social movement, social unrest. It's happening in colleges now. It's in the paper. It's very public.
Yeah.
Tell me your take on this here, and with these situations.
Yeah, well, it's not atypical at all what's going on right now. And, there are things that happen in the world that drive people to, want to express their opinions, their political views, their feelings about what's going on. And this happens on college campuses a lot, obviously. We all know that. This has been going on for, 50, 60, 70 years, even more, really. And so we're having a moment of that right now. And it's interesting to watch. The But it's also intriguing to me. One of my friends, one of my former students, actually, is a professor at Indiana University. He sent me a bunch of pictures and things yesterday from what's going on down there, and and I wrote back and I said, it's just so sad that an academic institution can't learn from history,
Yeah.
right? Because the way they're handling that is it's too much, and it incites further action that they don't want, and it increases the chance of violence and people getting hurt and things. The way that they're responding in a too heavy-handed kind of way to what's happening, and that's one of the lessons that we have trouble learning, is that what used to be called escalated engagement, where if students are doing something or a protest is doing something, you meet them with equal or more force, and then they react to that, and the thing starts getting ramped up, and that's when you end up having a riot that destroys millions of dollars worth of property, because things, they spiral out of control. And it's very unlikely in most cases. I wrote an article about this for the Hill or the Atlantic during the George Floyd time, about there's very unlikely that you have enough police to subdue thousands of protesters. It doesn't work that way. And so you've got to find different ways of managing that aren't as in people's faces, because that causes a different kind of reaction. And then you just end up sort of ramping up, and then it gets out of control, So that's a challenging aspect of this, because as college presidents and administrators, we are responsible for maintaining a sort of reasonable sense of peace and calm on our campuses, and allowing the college to continue to do its operations of teaching and learning. But at the same time, people want to express political opinions, and that's part of students' education as well, is learning how to do that. And so it's a tough moment for everybody. But you always have to remember, it's way less tough for us than it is for the people in Gaza and in Israel, and the struggles that they're going through, and the death that's happening over there. The protests and things that are happening on our campus are nothing compared to what those people are going through right now. And so it's important to keep our perspective on these things as well.
Yeah. Just hope for some peaceful resolutions here, and
Amen.
college is kind of the season is ending, so peace there. President Dan, again, it's an honor to be here. But you say college president, you're like, whoa, like, wow. Like when we were able to set this up, I was like, holy cow, that's impressive. Like, what are some of the things you've been at incredible places too? What are some of the things that you are most proud of when you look back at your career?
Well, there's a couple of stories I tell when people ask me about that. Interestingly, one of them is connected to protest, because it was a moment where it showed how important engagement is. And so when when something happens, the answer is not usually to run away or to throw bombs from a long direction. It's to get involved with the people who are protesting or engaged in this. And when I was at Marquette, there was a lot of really difficult racial stuff going on at the University of Missouri at the time. And there were protests that were breaking out across the country in sympathy with the students at Mizzou. And so it was going to happen on our campus. The people who watch all the social media and stuff got wind that this was going to happen. And so they asked me into a meeting because I know protest and stuff, and and I thought it was just going to be a couple of people, me and the dean of students and somebody else, just talking about how to keep people safe, because they were going to protest on a big street that cuts right through the Marquette campus. And and so you got to be careful because there's a lot of traffic, and that's what I thought it was going to be about. I walk into the room and there's like 12 or 14 people there, including the media people and the CFO, and like all these people from the.
Wow.
I was like, oh my God, something bad happened.
Wow.
That's what I thought. It was like, but I was a couple minutes late because I was running from something else, and so I didn't quite know what was going on. And I sat down and I just listened for a while, and I ended up thinking, what is going on? They're trying to figure out how to stop this thing from happening. And so I finally just said, wait a minute, aren't these people expressing something that we as an institution agree with? This is going to be a statement against racism. Obviously, a Jesuit school, we're against racism. And shouldn't we be like supporting these people instead of trying to shut this thing down? And people were like, wait a minute, they hadn't thought about that because they were just thinking about the disorder part of it, and so it started this incredible conversation in the room, an amazing conversation. And we walked out of there, not trying to suppress it, but we decided to go get people to participate in it, to support these students, these African-American students who were going to put on this protest. And we did, and we called up the student organizations that were running it, and we said, hey, would you welcome faculty and staff to join you out there? And they said, yeah, but nobody's going to come, because that was their experience of the place. And so, but we got all our people out there. I was out there. The president was out there.
Wow.
Lots of our faculty and staff locking arms. It's a powerful, powerful moment. Locking arms with these students. And you could see a change in them. It's like, they were like, oh my God. And they felt heard for the first time because we engaged with them.
Wow.
Instead of trying to shut them down and keep the peace only, we engaged with them. And that year opened up an incredible dialogue between the university, the administration, and the African-American students in this unbelievably productive way where we were able to do more things together and to really make a difference at Marquette. And when I think of that, I think that's what we should be doing.
Wow.
Right? It's so powerful. And it was so great out there. The media people who originally wanted to shut it down started using pictures of the protests in university promotional materials, And so, that's the kind of, what a turnaround.
Yeah,
what a turnaround. It was an amazing moment. And just because someone had the courage to say, wait a minute, does this really make sense? And you can really start a great conversation with a question like that sometimes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. What a beautiful story.
Yeah. And it's all about engaging, and there's so many different ways that we can and should do that. One of my friends who was out there in the protest, he always would say to me when there's some conflict coming down the pipe, he's like, we got to lean into this thing, Dan. His name was Dan too. And I'd be like, yeah, Dan, okay, you're right. Don't run away from this. Don't hide. Don't try to sidestep it. Let's lean into it and try to figure out how to be a part of it and learn from it as administrators and as people who are guiding students. And it turns out that is a powerful strategy.
Wow. Dan, I got to tell you, again, being here with you is very engaging. Your emails back to me, very engaging. Just the invitation for the podcast, you engaged. Your social media, the centennial, you're getting engaged. You're living that statement there.
I'm trying.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. That was a beautiful story.
Thanks.
Dan, we're going to wrap up here in a little bit. Anything that you wanted to talk about that we didn't mention?
Well, I don't know. The soul of this place is about connection with other people. And you can hear why that works so well for me. And we don't always do it perfectly. I don't always do it perfectly. I don't, honestly. I make lots of mistakes in that effort, but keep trying. I mean, I think it shows something to people even when you stub your toe or even when you fall on your face and you come back and you want to re-engage. I think that's really important, and it's really important for higher ed right now because we are being painted in weird ways that aren't accurate in the press and so on. That anybody can find a crazy example and sort of do this kind of exotic exampling, I call it sometimes, that makes and have that represent all of higher ed. And that's really not what's going on out here. We're trying to do this other work of educating and engaging people and teaching them how to be part of a community in their lives after they leave us, And so I just think this is really important for all of us across higher education to continue to drive into that space even when it's hard or we're being criticized for it. And this is one of the hardest things right now that with people protesting about Gaza, because it's it's sensitive and difficult. This has been going on for, our entire lives, right? And so it's a very challenging moment, but we got to keep working on it. We got to keep being involved with people on it if we want to be the force for good in the world that we espouse. So.
Great answer, Dan. I was curious about this. I was a building principal 20 years. As a university president, is it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, all the time? Or is there a switch? Can you at 7 tonight? Are you turning it off and like putting Netflix on? Like, is there a switch or is it all the time?
It feels pretty much like all the time to me, and it's okay. I was talking to one of my friends who is a band director in a high school, and and he was all in at his place. He was he just retired, but he was a tremendous leader and band director and community member. And he said, being in a school like this, a small town, it's a lifestyle that you're picking. It's not just about being a band director. It's like you're part of a community. And he was the band director was the assistant football coach too. But anyhow, but he did all kinds of things. And he's like, this is it. This is a life that I've chosen. And that's what you're doing in a place like this too. It's not a job. You don't turn it off. You keep worrying about it at night, and things happen at night. And we had a crazy flash flood up here a few months back, and I came up here just like everybody else, and we went down in the basement of the residence hall where the flood was, and we were down there like pumping water out,
Wow.
At whatever it was, midnight,
Oh my God.
1 o'clock in the morning. And it's because you're part of this community of action, and you're part of it. And so of course you go and you do that, so no, it doesn't really stop. Just like your family doesn't stop, and all the other things that are really important in your life. So
another great answer. Please leave President Myers a comment here with us. Dan, this has been fun. I feel like I've learned a lot, but really engaged here, and congratulations.
Thank you. Well, this has been terrific, Andrew. And I love the vibe of this podcast. I think this is a great way to approach these kinds of conversations. And, you're just giving people freedom to talk about things that really matter. So thank you for doing that. I appreciate that.
Couple more. We're not going to let you off the hook. These are rapid fire.
Okay.
These are quick answers. We're here in Dallas, PA live. Are you ready? Rapid fire.
I'm going to try.
Here we go. Last book you read.
I'm reading Dune right now, actually. So I guess that's the last book I read. Yeah.
Last movie you saw.
I just watched Poor Things the other night because I went on to see what the Academy Award nominees were, and there was one. Okay, I'll read that.
Thumbs up.
Yeah. Oh, it's a tremendous movie.
Yeah. Okay.
Very, very interesting visually, and just incredible. Yeah.
Last concert you went to.
I think it was the combo of REO Speedwagon, Styx,
Ooh.
and Loverboy. Yeah, they
Ooh.
were out on tour together.
You knew a few of those lyrics, didn't
I
you?
did, and I'll tell you, the Styx was incredible. They have not lost a step, folks. Go see them.
Wow. You have lived all over the country. You have worked in many different places. What's your favorite dish?
Oh Lordy, I'm still a pizza guy. I'll never give that. Well, I don't know. Hot wings. Those are the two. They compete. Pizza's been pizza most of my life, but I like hot food too. So a chicken wing pizza. I mean, you can't beat that.
Old Forge here has some unique pizza.
That is true. It is unique.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Okay. Your favorite place to travel? If you got a ticket, you could go. You're 2 weeks off of work. Where are you going?
I don't know what that would be, honestly, but I'll tell you the last big trip I took, I went to Alaska because I'd been in all 50 states except Alaska.
Wow.
And so we went to Anchorage and we had a great time. We did the dog sledding and we went out on the glacier. It was incredible. So I would highly recommend that if you're looking for something interesting, you feel like you're on another planet for a minute.
All 50 states.
I bet that was my last one.
Yep. You got a lot of stories. This summer, I will fill in the blank.
Well, my band's going out. We got about 5 or 6 dates lined up. So go see us upstate New York, mostly. Quest is my band. It includes the band director I was just talking about. But we have fun. It's a cover band. It's nothing serious, but we do well because we like to have fun with our crowd. So come and see Quest.
If they were going to check it out, Quest, you can find them online.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very
Upstate
cool.
New York, and we'll do Welcome Week down here. We always play Welcome Week at Misericordia. So
a pet peeve of yours?
Oh, I don't know. There's just so many. I don't know. I think I would like people to just listen to each other right now. I think and when they're not, and they're almost trying not to. That's a pet peeve, and you see it in the press and the style with people with newscasts and things right now. Just not almost actively trying not to listen to others. That is a pet peeve of mine.
It goes back to your beautiful story about engaging. Why don't we just listen to them?
Yeah.
At 8 a.m. on Saturday morning, I feel fill in the blank.
I feel like I should probably get out there and get that run done.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That's impressive.
No question.
That is impressive. Best takeaway from this show for our guests?
Oh, I get to repeat myself so much. I'm going to go back to my friend Dan Bergen's statement to lean in when there's conflict and when there's dispute. Lean in. Don't lean away. Don't run away. Don't throw a bomb and run away. Get involved with the person and understand where they're coming from. You'll all be better for it if you do.
One thing you've learned by living in Dallas, PA.
One thing I've learned by living in Dallas, PA is, well, this is a nice area, and it's there. Find ways to appreciate nature because we have a lot of beautiful space around here. So, I've been living in big cities for a long time, and so it was nice to be out here.
Colder here or colder in Notre Dame?
It's not that different. It's about the same.
About the same. We're right across.
Yeah, and we're up a little bit higher in elevation here, but you get more snow in Notre Dame because you get the lake effect snow there. Yeah.
Something about Dan Myers that people do not know about.
Oh, geez, I've given away so many of my secrets already. I have 41 guitars.
Holy cow! You have any here in the office?
No. I'm afraid it'll distract me too much when I'm trying to work.
What is spelled wrong more often? Your last name or the name of the college or the university?
I'm going to go with my last name because for some reason, even though there are 3 times as many people who spell Myers in this country, look it up in the census if you don't believe me, I have. 90% of the time, if I check into a hotel or something and say Myers, they immediately think it's Mey. And I don't know why that is, but it happens all the time. Misericordia, they just probably think, I don't have no idea how to spell that. And either they're going to misspell it, they're just not going to spell it. So
after the MIS, it's all, I spelled it wrong on Lisa's email, but wow. Okay. Dan, this has been great. You're on social media. You are out there Let me just say these out loud so people. I mean, it's on the page there, but again, connected on Twitter, on TikTok, on Instagram at Pres Dan Myers MU on most of those.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you just look for President Dan, you'll end up finding me, I'm sure. So,
and even can email you here at the college. I love it.
That's right.
Yeah, I love it.
We put a high degree of emphasis on accessibility here. I mean, my office door is not protected by another office with an administrative assistant and then a lobby or something. The door opens right in the hallway. People come by, the door's open, they stick their head in, we have a little conversation, and this is the main drag hallway in our main building here. So I love that piece of this. It's both symbolic and it's functional because I do get a chance to talk with some students because of that setup. So
it really is beautiful here. The windows, the light, the wood. It is a beautiful spot.
Can't complain about this office. It's nice.
Dan, we had a lot of great topics here. I love the chipping. I love leaning in. So many great things you said. You have a quote we can end with?
Well, I was thinking about that earlier, and because we talked about protest, it made me think of the Martin Luther King Jr. quote about riots. And he said, riots are the language of the unheard. And I think that protest is too. And that's something to think about when protests happen on campus. It's happening because students feel like they're not heard enough. And if we can find better ways to help them be heard and feel heard, then it'll be all to the better, right? And so protest is one way of them trying to be heard. And I, as a president and a provost and somebody studied social movements, when I see protests going on, I walk right out there in it and talk to people, whether I agree with them or not. That kind of interaction helps in so many different ways, and it helps them feel heard. Then they should be heard. I mean, they're a person just like us. So I would, again, it's a theme of this podcast, but it's another way of engaging. And because protest is so big right now, I thought a quote about protest might be appropriate.
President Dan Myers here, Dallas, PA, Misericordia University. This has been a lot of fun.
It has been. Thank you, Andrew. This has been terrific.
Thank you. Go Cougars. Graduation in 2 weeks. September, the centennial anniversary, 100 years, Misericordia University.
That's right.
Wow. This has been President Dan Meyer. Check them out. Check out the website. Again, Dan's writings, a lot here. So, and again, you got people thinking about college. Come check out the engagement. Come check out the connected people here. Beautiful campus. I wish you the best, President Dan.
Thank you, Andrew.
All right. We're going to sign off here on Education, Leadership, and Beyond. This was a lot of fun. Thanks for tuning in live. Leave Dan a comment. Leave him a question in the chat. We'll be monitoring that over the next few days. Again, in the beginning, I played the Leadership Summit for dads here happening this summer in July. Check that out, dadsleadersandfatherfigures.com. We are going to sign off. Dan, thanks so much.
Thank you, Andrew.
All right, friends, keep surviving and thriving.